Good afternoon and welcome to all my friends and family. I welcome you to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Sunday, the long weekend. It's NRL Grand Final Day, and I've decided to come on a bit of a track walk here, a bit of a bushwalk, to get out of the house and to chill out and to burn off a few calories before I have a few beers tonight and sit back and watch the grand final between the Penrith Panthers and the South Sydney Bunnies. So what a beautiful day. It's springtime here in Australia. It's the last weekend, believe it or not, of lockdown, hopefully, because this week New South Wales will most definitely hit the 70% double dose mark, and with that we'll get to enjoy some freedoms. There's some beautiful finches here. I don't know if you can see them or not, but I think they're called blood finches. They've got some red on their eyes, but they're just beautiful little birds. I used to breed them many years ago, before I even met my wife, when I was still at university. I had a aviary in the backyard, and the finches, which were the toughest birds to breed of all, especially those blood finches, which were really expensive, ended up becoming the birds that kept on breeding in natural captivity without me having to do anything, which was really special. Anyway, today's book summary is entitled Forest Bathing. An interesting title, but a topical sort of subject for a day like today. And it's written by an author with the title of Dr. Quig Lee. Dr. Quig Lee. So this book is a little bit different to most of the other book summaries that I put together, in that it's more esoteric, and I must admit I learnt quite a bit by reading this. I'm not quite sure how true it is, but given that it's a cultural norm in Japan, and the Japanese are a very honourable race, and I did do martial arts for a number of years, and can relate to Japanese culture to a certain extent, and I do respect them, then I think some of the lessons from this book may well be a good sort of learning for each and every one of us to at least consider, and to try and to adopt and adapt into our everyday busy lifestyle. So the author kicks off with the book with a quote, a statement, where he says that being in nature slows our senses and opens the gap between us and the natural world. I guess we can't dispute that, because just walking here in the bush, I do hear things, I do smell things. I definitely feel more relaxed, and there's something about it that brings out the best in me, and I'm sure we all have a similar sort of sensation. So engaging in nature, according to the author, does something to us. So what this book is all about is detailing, from a Japanese cultural perspective, the lessons that they've learnt, I guess, over thousands of years of incorporating these things into their culture. So the author reminds us that, and especially now with COVID, with lockdowns, with home officing, that most people spend at least 90%, if not more, of their time indoors, in enclosed environments, and find comfort. Find comfort in closed spaces. We tend to find comfort in closed spaces. You know, I see lots of people who enjoy going out on the weekend, and their enjoyment is, especially in other countries like the Middle East, their enjoyment is going to the shopping centre and spending the whole day walking around a shopping centre. So, as the author says, 90% of people spend most of their time enclosed indoors. But the call to action here is that if we learn, this is the big point, this is the big theme of the book. If we learn to engage nature, your body actually feels more refreshed. Your body feels more refreshed. And the Japanese have discovered this and actually have a word for it, but it's known in the translation as forest bathing. So bathing in the forest. So the first formal point to come out of this book on forest bathing is that it implies a connection between nature, you, and a state of meditation, a way of thinking, a way of living. And Japan is a lot more built up than what Sydney is. So the author here says that urban chaos, and I agree with this, I agree wholeheartedly with this. Urban chaos is both beautiful and stressful. Like, it's great being part of a buzz of an urban lifestyle. It's wonderful to be part of that buzz, but it does create stress. And if you can't break away from that stress, and if you're constantly buzzing, then the author here suggests that you're going to have health issues, you're going to have other issues in other areas of your life that you won't be able to manage. So the call to action is to proactively understand what's going on, but more importantly, try and do something about it to give you some better outcomes. So the author here says something really bizarre, but quite profound. And he says this, he says, if you just gaze at a forest, if you just gaze at a forest, it can reduce your stress levels by 60%. So I just stopped here and I'm just looking at the trees. And when I stopped and started looking, all of a sudden I could hear the wind blowing through the leaves. I can see the light glistening off the leaves. You can hear the birds. You can hear your heartbeat. You just become so much more mindful with what's going on around you. So the author here says that the first thing we need to do as urbanites, as city dwellers, as people who enjoy the chaos but are also stressed to the max, is to identify a location, a forest, a bushland, or something that you can access. And the first thing you do, like we just did then, is you go there and you just do nothing. Just do nothing. You just sit, look, listen, feel, and nothing else. You don't have to do anything. All you need to do is just be there, but be in that moment, to be present in that moment. And take some breaths, take some deep breaths, and just be part of where you are for once. Don't think about the past. Don't think about what you're going to have tonight, who's going to win the competition. Don't think about the problems you've got at work. Don't think about your children, your partner, your mother, your father. Nothing else. Just glorify the moment. Just enjoy the moment. And what the author says is that there's a lot to be gained out of admiring nature and its patterns. I remember years ago going to a fellowship meeting, and the Archbishop, the Greek Orthodox Archbishop, His Eminence Stylianos, who has since passed away, God bless him, saying that God didn't need to create variety in our lives. No, he didn't need to make variety. He didn't need to make everything appear different. He could have made every single tree exactly the same. Could you imagine how monotonous our life would be if everything, every house, every car, every tree, every person, every experience was exactly the same? So from a Christian perspective, God created the world for our enjoyment. And for that, we just need to express our gratitude. And this is something which I guess transcends the cultures. You've got the Japanese culture, and also it's a similar sort of thing within the Christian culture. You know, to admire, to be a steward in the environment, in the nature, and to understand that God didn't need to do anything. Didn't need to create the universe, didn't need to create birds and bees, flowers and trees, didn't need to create us, and didn't really need to become man as well. But he did it through love. Love of us, and for us to love him and each other. So let's move on with this book summary. And the second formal point to come out of this book is that the author mentions the importance of engaging our bodily senses with nature using touch and taste. Touch and taste. Not sure I'm going to be touching or tasting any of these things around here, but I'm sure that there are Indigenous people who know what to eat and how it can be used for medicinal and nutritional purposes. But the whole act, the whole purpose of this touching and tasting within nature is to interact and become one with the environment and the place around us. How amazing is this? This little bush setting here. It's almost like a little cave here. You know, if it was raining or if it's pelting down, you could possibly go in there and just get out of the elements. I guess in ancient times, the Indigenous people may have used something like this as a place to rest at night, or a place to be out of the cold, out of the wind, out of the rain. So the next point is a beauty. I never knew this. Don't know how true it is, but as I said, I'll take it at face value, because at the end of the day, I'm an emissary. I'm just a messenger, taking what was written in this book, what was expressed by this author, and presenting it in a way that we can at least consider it. He's saying that nature has a low electric charge which actually balances our electrons when we make physical contact with them. I don't know about you, but I just love touching the bark, the smooth bark on trees. Always have, from a very young age. I just love touching. And a lot of people in their houses have timber and natural sort of settings. But what the author here is saying is that those natural settings actually have low electric charge which balances our own electrons. So there is a reason why certain materials make a house feel more comfortable, make an environment more friendly, make an office more productive. And these things actually have a healing property, believe it or not. So the author also goes to the point of saying that it's probably you're better off walking barefoot through the grass, along a track. A little bit scared of walking barefoot through here, just in case I tread on a snake or a spider or a bull ant. Who knows what you're going to come across. But right here we've got a beautiful billabong, which in years gone by, you may have had people swimming from that rock there, jumping in, possibly fishing for yabbies, eels. Who knows what would have been happening here years ago, when this billabong may have been a place where people would have congregated and lived around here. So the author talks about the importance of walking barefoot. I know that whenever I go to Greece, I walk barefoot through the house, and my sister-in-laws absolutely crack it. You know, they give me slippers and all these other things. But I tell them that I love walking barefoot on the marble floors that they've got in Greece. I've always loved walking barefoot in the home, in the house. And I did note yesterday that the footballers up there in Brisbane were training barefooted on the grass there in one of the stadiums. And I didn't quite understand the benefits of that. But now that I've read this book, I do appreciate that walking barefoot or training barefoot could have a positive influence or a positive outcome on people in a stressed situation. People who are waiting for the big grand final. Anyway, this is a beautiful part of the walk. And as I said, I could imagine years ago that people would have congregated here, Indigenous people or early settlers, and maybe washed their clothes here or bathed here. Who knows? Wouldn't it be great to go back in time? But walking barefoot, touching, smelling, listening to the running water, all of these things can contribute to one's welfare, so one's health, something to consider. So what else can we learn from this? The last formal point to come out of this book from this author is that we shouldn't just use the forest to bathe our senses and to neutralise our electrons and to make us feel good. We can bring it into our home. We can bring it into our office. We can bring it into our apartment block, our gardens. Because the author here is saying that you can improvise. by having flowers, by having plants, by having greenery in your house, because it stimulates the eye, it stimulates your senses. It does something to you that you can't quite logically explain, but this author has given us a few reasons to think about it and to consider it. But as the author says here, within your home environment, you can introduce plants, candles, scented candles, and scented oils, and even sounds to mimic the forest and to get you in the mood, so to speak. Something that you may want to think about, and I'll give this a go as well, is that there are things called essential oils, such as redwood or pine, that create a forest ambience. And there are plants that you can have in your home which release phytoncides. Don't know what they are, but this is what the author's saying. There are plants that actually release certain chemicals which are antimicrobial compounds. So I guess that probably means that they can act as an antiseptic and sterilise the home environment. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's a lovely day, and I've just come across a mulberry tree. There you go. We've talked about the importance of touching, feeling and tasting, and here we have it. We've got a mulberry tree. The mulberries aren't quite ready yet, but I guess next time I walk through here, there may be a few juicy ones that I can pick, but I'm sure that there are other people who have got the same ideas, so that way we can touch and taste from the forest that we're bathing in. Anyway, we'll chat again. I look forward to coming to you from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment, where we can become partners in each other's growth and development and learn something new. Learn something new and pass something new on to other people, so that we can all help each other make the day more interesting and more empowering. Yassas, take care, and we'll chat again. All the best. And it's Jim signing off from Jim's 5am Club. Bye for now.